Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. Joan served the state of California as a member on the Arts Council and on the Film Commission. She was formerly on the Architectural Commission and fulfilled 2 terms on the Fine Arts Commission for the city of Beverly Hills. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview magazine, Condé Nast Publications, and the Hearst Corporation, Joan covered the world of fashion, the mysteries of food, the excitement of theater, and the international art scene. She continues to find people who are on the cutting edge of their professions. Here's Joan AGAJAINIan Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan AGAJAINIan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're taping here at the Hollywood Museum on Highland Avenue in the heart of Hollywood. And our guests are singer Mariette Soudjian and artist Douglas Tausik Rtder. Actress, singer Mariette Soudjian was born and raised in Hollywood, right here where we are. She attended local Armenian schools and graduated from Cal State Northridge with a Bachelor of Arts in Communication Studies. We can call her an anthem singer, you know, like at Dodger Stadium and other arenas, a celebrity gossip blogger, a writer for a TV show and children's books, and she's also a filmmaker making a feature film. So when did you decide to be a singer? Because you have all these other hyphenates.
I was always singing since I was a child. If you look at my old home videos.
Your home videos your father was taking them?
Always. And I was constantly singing and dancing in those. And once, because I was always in the school choir, in Armenian school.
So what were those schools, Shamlian and Pilibos?
Yeah, I went to Shamlian, and then I graduated high school at Alex Pilibos in Hollywood. There's an Armenian school in Hollywood.
You're like the perfect person in the Hollywood Museum.
I really am.
And I think your parents also went to Hollywood High
across
the street.
Across the street. My parents met at an accent removal class across the street at Hollywood High in the 70s.
Which is so funny because there's those signs on the street that say, "Get rid of your accent."
They still have those?
I've seen them. And
because I thought they were making this up. Like, I was like, accent removal class. I've never heard of this.
I know. I couldn't believe it. Why would somebody want to do that? But they did it, right? So tell me, so there is show business in your family?
There is show business. My mother was from Tijuana, and she came here, and she was a theater actress. And Hollywood... at Nosotros, which back then I think it was on Wiltern.
Yes,
like
she was.
Area.
Yes.
Nosotros, I think it's now on Vine.
It was a group, right?
Yeah.
A theater group.
Yeah. The Ricardo Theater on Vine. Montalban Theater on Vine. And my father was a French jazz singer. He sang in Lebanon. And he sings a lot of Charles Aznavour.
Of course.
Yes, and he looks like him too. He actually performed with me on Sunday. He sang some Charles Aznavour songs.
Oh, how great! So you did a song. You did an appearance at the Phoenicia restaurant. Right?
I did an appearance at the Phoenicia restaurant. I sang several jazz songs. I love singing jazz and blues. And my father sang some French jazz songs.
So he was,
and more people loved him.
He was from Lebanon.
Originally from Jerusalem, Armenian from Jerusalem, and
the Armenians in Jerusalem are so great in the old city. It's so beautiful.
You won't believe, I found a video of my great-grandmother on YouTube in Jerusalem.
Oh, wow.
Protesting for the Armenian genocide. Oh, so I was like, wow. Yeah, so he was really originally from Jerusalem, went to Lebanon.
Because I was asking about French. He would have spoken French from Lebanon, right?
From Lebanon, yes. And then he went to France. He lived in France.
Oh, he did.
And then he finally came to America.
And met your mother?
And met my mother. And they were on a double date, but not with each other.
But they went to Hollywood High.
They went to Hollywood High, and my mother's like, I want to fix you up with my friend. And he's like, oh, I'll fix you up with my friend. So they went out, and my mother had a list in her wallet, 31 requirements of her future husband. And her friend told her, hey, I think this is your husband, after talking to him. And that night, my mom went home with him, or she asked him to drop her off, so that was it.
So how great was that? Mexican and Armenian kitchen. Right?
None of them really cooked, but
Nobody cooked? They didn't cook?
not really.
But did you speak Spanish and Armenian?
Yeah, pretty much, but mostly Armenian because all my friends were Armenian. I went to Armenian schools,
I see.
yeah.
So, but then when did you start studying music?
Probably around the time I went to college. So I was in the school choir in high school, and then in college I started taking voice lessons, and I realized my voice is very different from what I thought it was.
Oh.
I used to sing like Janet Jackson because she was like my icon growing up, and when I got to singing class, I had a very different voice.
And why is that? Because the teacher brings out something different in you?
I sang the song Orange Colored Sky. I had to sing that song, and you had to use like your chest voice for that, and till that moment, I never even knew that I had a strong chest voice.
Oh, I see.
And so that was it. That was like the point.
You went to Northridge, though, and you took communications. You didn't take drama or music.
No, because, coming from my household, they were always like, in case the music doesn't work out,
right.
work into media. And what happened was, after college, I ended up working in entertainment news, but no one cared about my resume. It was just, I got hired based off of YouTube videos.
So why were you making YouTube videos?
I was just joking around, making fun of my mother's accent.
Uh-oh. And how did that sound?
And there was a lot of love and hate, so I knew like something was going to happen and would go viral. And next thing you know, Ryan Seacrest is like, the character's name was La Cocha, the coach to the stars. Next thing you know, Ryan Seacrest is talking about it on E! News. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I should put the music aside because I'm spending way too much money producing CDs and like no one's opening them. So let me just do these YouTube videos and network in Hollywood.
So what was it, La Cocha?
La Cocha, yes.
And where were you coaching?
I was just coaching all of Hollywood because they're,
What were you doing? Saying what?
I would just, it was a joke. I would just butcher their names on the red carpet. Like Katy Perry would be Katy Perra or Britney Spears, I would ask them about their personal lives.
So were you writing these yourself, obviously?
Yeah, they were like, a lot of the red carpet were improv, obviously, on the spot.
But were you actually on the red carpet?
Yes.
Oh, you actually were?
Yes.
Oh, and you did that to them in their faces?
In their faces. It was a lot of fun. And I
they
got
laugh
kicked
back?
out. Now they don't allow La Cocha on the red carpet.
Oh, I wonder why.
They do not allow it. One time I was wearing a candy costume on the red carpet, and I was going to interview Russell Brand, and he turned away, and everyone started yelling at me. They thought I was making fun of him because Katy Perry wore the candy costume, but La Cocha was wearing it way before Katy Perry was. So, there was all those instances. But I had a great time, and I would do music parodies with that. So I had a friend, Julia Vera, an actress, and my mother's friend, and she always said, you know what, use your vocal talents with this character too. Don't let it go to waste. So I would do music parodies in the Latin accent, in the Mexican accent. And a lot of them got millions of views, and they were posted by the Kardashians. They were, so it was, and I had the help of gossip blogger Perez Hilton.
I was going to say, did you work for him?
Yes, I had stalked him for like a year or two. I would go to all his TV performances.
So he was all here in L.A.?
He was in LA, in Hollywood, and I was just like, I want to work with you. I think this character, La Cocha, is perfect for your site, and it'll offer more, fun. But did you also write for him? Yes.
You did write for him,
I did.
too.
He gave me a lot of freedom, creative freedom, which I love because
I'm
a control freak.
But he used it all.
Yeah, he was
because
great.
It was your creative talents that were going into making his site look good.
Like, it was great. It was a great time, and I even got a gig at the Cannes Film Festival from it.
You did? Did you go to France?
Yes, and I took my brother, and I had a wonderful team there. And
that's so great.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about this anthem stuff. How do you get chosen to sing at Dodger Stadium?
Well, this happened a while ago. I would just send in my a CD. You have to sing it a cappella. A headshot and a CD. That's how it was back in the day. I don't know how it is now, but I want to sing again. Did
you sing at different venues too?
Yeah, different venues like the Home Depot Center with Apo Jabarian hooked it up.
Oh, did you?
The Armenian national anthem, there was a soccer game. I sang that too.
I saw that online. You said beautiful.
Thank you.
But you speak Armenian so beautifully
Yeah.
that it's easy for you to sing in Armenian too.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, it was beautiful.
It was my first language, so I love singing. And I love the Armenian national anthem, Medhainenik. It's very beautiful. Yeah, so I started first singing, and I sang the national anthem at Dodger Stadium.
Right.
And I remember then my grandmother was alive, and I took her as my guest. It was a beautiful moment to be with her. And I was only looking at her, smiling at me, and so that I wouldn't get nervous.
Oh, I wondered, how do you do it? Because you're down on the field, right?
To be honest, it's a lot easier when there's thousands of people rather than a small, intimate room where you could see people's faces. I get very nervous and uncomfortable when it's like that.
But you sing in those small places. Like the Phoenicia's very intimate.
I get nervous.
Maybe that's why they liked your dad better. Do you have an accompanist during that time, or do you use a recording, or what do you do?
I had a band that night. There was a band.
When you make your appearances?
Sometimes it's a band, sometimes it's a recording.
But then when you sing at Dodger Stadium...
Dodger Stadium, they have
Acapulco.
someone play there.
Right, but you sang Acapulco?
On the CD. When you submit you have to sing a cappella, and then...
Not Acapulco.
Acapulco! You gotta sing Acapulco. Oh, Jose, can you see?
Right.
Yeah, I did that, and I did a CD in my early 20s.
I see.
And I would perform in venues in LA, and then what happened was the YouTube thing was taking off. So I was like, let me put the music back, because it was like a struggle with music, and it was a lot of fun doing the La Cocha stuff. So
that sounds good. Okay, and then before we leave, because I know we're going to run out of time, feature film.
Feature film, yes.
What is that?
Okay. So I wrote a feature film called September Boyfriend. It almost got picked up by one of the big studios, but then it didn't. Another movie came out of it with someone else.
Of course.
Yeah, after my meeting.
Exactly. Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, and so my brother was like, let's just do it indie style. It'll be cooler too. And it's kind of about my multicultural background.
Oh, so it's like a bio in a way?
Kind
of.
Yes, and it's about the LA life and about love and how it is in our time, in my generation.
Have you started shooting yet?
No, we're going to secure funding. That's the next step, and then we're going to start shooting. I don't know, maybe in the fall.
Then who will be the star, I wonder?
I wonder.
Well, will there be parts for anybody else?
Of course, Joan, you've got one.
Oh, can we? Oh, you just wrote this in. Perfect. Mariette, you're on.
September Boyfriend, baby. Yeah,
okay.
That's that.
All in English.
All in English.
Not in Armenian. Not in Spanish.
No.
Is the children's book in Spanish, by the way?
It's in English. The children's book is in English.
But can you do them in Spanish and in
you can.
For you, can you do that? Will you do that?
You can, yeah. I mean, I might do an Armenian version of it, but I just want to get this one out there. Because a lot of kids are not speaking Armenian these days. And
I know, but you went to school where they've taught in Armenian, right?
Yeah. So I'm very lucky to have that
But I think you have to help keep that tradition, because it's young people like you who know the language. I say things and I mispronounce them, obviously. You just corrected me. Arga.
Yeah, I think we need to... that's why I'm doing Armenian folklore, like an album of Armenian folklore music, because the younger generation, they're kind of like forgetting all this, and we need to preserve this.
That's great.
We need to pass it on. And in my children's book, even though it's in English, I have a couple of key Armenian words, important words that they could learn.
Good.
So.
That's great. So thank you, Mariette.
Thank you. I had a blast. You're fabulous.
I'm so glad you were here.
I love being here.
Don't go away. We'll be back with Douglas Tausik Rtder. Joan AGAJAINIAN Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're taping here at the Hollywood Museum, and our guest is native New York artist Douglas Tausik Rtder, who attended Columbia University and New York University's Center for Advanced Digital Applications. He has all these new ideas about traditional art versus art of today or digital art, and he deals primarily in sculpture, isn't that right?
That's true. I'm a sculptor, and although I have been a painter in the past, and I may do that again.
So what kind of childhood did you have? Were you a computer nerd, or
well, my mother was an artist, and so I grew up in her studio.
Oh, what kind of artist was she?
She was a painter.
Mm-hmm. In New York?
In New York City. We lived in Greenwich Village, and I grew up in her studio as her assistant, really.
Really? So she was painting, right?
Yes, yes.
And who used to visit her? What was her group of friends, artist friends?
Well, she had a very large group of artist friends, most of whom were around at the time, but whose names you wouldn't know. I did have a chance to meet some famous artists. William de Kooning, for example.
Quite famous.
Was very famous. And,
quite famous, I would say.
Yeah.
Did he live near you?
Give me a lot of advice. No, he lived out in East Hampton. In those days, he moved from the city.
And then how did you hook up with him in East Hampton?
Oh, because his daughter was a contemporary.
I see.
Yeah.
And was she an artist too?
She wasn't. No.
But you had your career path at that point?
Oh, no. I was an artist in the sense that I made work. I had no idea, really, of becoming an artist as an adult.
Well, what were you going to do when you went to Columbia?
That's a very good question, because I didn't know.
So you took all kinds of classes?
I took everything from chemistry to social psychology and philosophy and everything I could take.
But I think all of that really added to your background, because the psychology is applied to what you're doing now, and the social causes.
You know, probably the biggest influence Columbia and New York City had on my work is all the beautiful sculpture and architecture that's there.
You mean just on campus
just
and on the
campus
street?
And just on the way.
Yeah.
As a boy, I went to the Rudolph Steiner School, which was on 79th Street, and I used to take the bus up Fifth Avenue and back down. And the beautiful buildings and the monuments were endlessly fascinating to me.
The public art.
The public art.
And
for example, I might be the only person you meet who knows the name of the artist that made the Atlas at Rockefeller
Oh,
Center.
which is fabulous,
it's fabulous.
right?
I used to see that every day, and it really took root in my mind, these beautiful objects.
But we don't know who did it.
Yes, we do.
I don't.
Oh.
And I've seen it so many times, and you just think that it's just a piece of something there,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
you don't
for the
stop.
record, Lee Lowry is the name of the artist, and he did 2,000 public.
Is that right?
Yes.
All over
public
the U.S. or
commission,
just
yes,
in New
all
York?
All over the U.S.
Oh,
A
so
wonderful sculptor.
So it was actually, what's it, Lowry?
Lowry. I
Lowry.
think, yeah.
So it was actually a commission,
Yes,
obviously, right?
Yeah, it's a significant sculptor.
So as you're riding your bus from the village up to 79th
Yeah.
Street, but you're going the other way. When you're going home, you're coming from 79th down Fifth Avenue,
Well,
right?
I hate to tell you, but in those days, Fifth Avenue was two ways.
It was?
Yes, yes.
I never knew it was
Yeah.
two ways. Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so did you have a lot of math in your background?
I was never great at math. I was average at math. In fact, I was interested in being a scientist when I was a youngster, but the math was an obstacle for me. All of my work and everything that I've been able to teach myself technically about doing these computer programs and this advanced machining and stuff
Right.
I struggled with it all, and the way I learned it is that I would think about it, problems I couldn't solve, I couldn't figure it out. And in my dreams, the answer would come to me. A
So
specific, simple answer.
So those things were solved, because I think it's what I was talking about, all the background and all those classes you took and all that kind of is building up in your memory, right? It is a memory bank for you.
Could be.
Did you
yes.
take in class when you studied digital application? Did they teach you those things? Did they teach you how to use those applications?
Well, no.
So what is that class about?
The Center for Digital Applications. So that was really about CGI.
Oh.
And learning
so that
to
means
use
in films?
Well,
would it
CGI
be?
can be used for film, but it can be used for other things. So actually, I did adopt that. I draw in 3D programs. So I make all my work, in the first instance, I make in a 3D program. This is because I decided to work that way when I succumbed to the desire to be a sculptor. I said, how am I going to work? And I chose that way.
So is your studio like a workshop? Would you think of it as a workshop rather than an artist studio, or?
It's an industrial space.
Oh, that's what I wondered.
And my process is industrial.
So what is CAD and CAM?
Sure. CAD, CAD is
CAD.
computer-aided design.
So you use that?
I use that.
And
And
the
CAM is computer-aided manufacturing.
And you use that too?
I use that.
That's like 3D?
So I use, when I got the mad idea to make sculpture using industrial equipment, I went out and I bought an obsolete 5-axis router from a company that makes airplane parts.
Wow.
So
It was just used, finished, they weren't using?
well, it's obsolete because modern ones are much faster.
I see.
So they on to the next generation.
I
So
see.
I was able to buy it for what is, an inexpensive for a piece of equipment like
Big
that.
equipment.
But yeah, it's a 12,000-pound piece of equipment. So
It's 12,000
It's
pounds?
12,000
How
pounds.
did you get it to your studio?
with help.
A lot of help,
Yeah.
right?
So I had to teach myself to use it, which was me all night in my studio, all through the winter, in despair.
In despair.
In despair. And I was so far over my head, I just had no possibility of, but as I say, bit by bit in my dreams,
Oh, right.
a
That's
solution
what
would
you
come,
said.
and I'd wake up with, well, try this. And,
And what are those things you try? What are they?
well, are we talking about technical things now?
I
or the
guess. Is
artwork?
that
So-
what you're talking about? Technical?
Well, both,
Yeah.
because I had to learn to how to use this kind of machining, and there's a lot of complexity to it.
Yeah, so that's, we'll just call it computer or machinery or whatever,
Yeah.
compared to a traditional way of doing woodwork, where you might be sawing, sanding,
Chiseling, carving.
chiseling,
right.
carving. Do you do that?
I do combine both simply because sometimes it's just easier to take a chisel and do something you want
I
than to
wonder.
figure out a complicated technical process for doing it. So, but I really try to stick to the automated part. In fact, I'd like a fully automated process, so including artificial intelligence to design it, so that after my death, my studio can continue.
So
And,
they'll just keep putting those
generation
production-
after generation, and evolving and improving.
involving, or
Evolving,
would they
yeah.
be putting the same evolving, or would they be putting the same material out? Would they be putting the same sculptures
Well,
out?
I hope not. I hope that that would be a little dreary.
But I
Yeah.
mean, really, when you work with the computer, they continue to just do the same thing, right? Or they can produce
They
the same
do,
thing.
but
like a print.
There's enormous capacity for computers to generate their own programs, new programs.
So in your mind also...
But this is really just a distant dream. I'm not really. I'm not really.
Well, we're
doing it.
talking about your dreams right now.
Yeah.
You're biomorphic versus geometric. What are those two? Yeah.
So, I have different urges. One is that I'm very drawn to the body, to making things that are related to bodies. Everything starts with the body for me. But I'm also very drawn to the sort of perfect simplicity of geometric forms.
Okay.
I love geometric forms.
So you have geometric forms and you have this
Right.
kind of
So I have
roundish.
to then, I seek to reconcile these. So that's a whole process that took years, and is resolved in my dreams, because in my dreams, geometric forms and processes such as enlarging or twisting or hollowing out or whatever, all have emotional meaning in my dreams.
emotional. Yeah.
There's a feeling that comes with these things. So as a result, much of my work is really focused on these processes. What processes am I using, and what is their meaning? So a piece that I did that I call Venus is a sphere, and it was inspired by my wife's pregnancy.
I see.
Yeah.
Go on, because
Because
that's the body.
No, because I watched her pregnant belly grow, and I was my whole imagination was completely captivated by this. And if I closed my mind, I just saw the belly huge.
And so that's how this piece came out.
Yes, so
one thing, let me ask you. You work on the East Coast. You spend time on Shelter Island and in Los Angeles.
well, nobody mentioned it to you, but we did move to Los Angeles
But I mean,
a few years ago.
both. You've spent time on both coasts.
Yeah, yes.
So does the East Coast have a different effect on you than living here?
Very much so. So I find the West Coast is a very productive place for me to be an artist. The West Coast, specifically Los Angeles. And it's because, in a way, there's the newness of the place and the absence of deep cultural, artistic.
Well, that's interesting. The absence of it.
The
yeah.
absence. We spent some time in Rome. And in Rome, which is spectacular and beautiful beyond comparison, the shadow of the great work of the Renaissance and antiquity and so forth is almost impossible for many artists to shake, and you find yourself being affected in a way that's not good.
That's interesting because there's so much depth of culture in Rome that you're comparing with the West Coast, where there is a shallow depth of
Well, it's
culture.
new. It's not
new,
that it's shallow.
not shallow,
it's
but
just
shallow
new, yeah.
as far as new.
Yeah.
In that respect, that's really interesting.
So it's more like a blank slate for me here.
Right. Right.
So I enjoy that.
I
Also, there are the practical matters like getting a big industrial space downtown. You can't do that in Brooklyn anymore. So, so that worked out very well.
So Los Angeles is lucky. Jason Voss is lucky. He's
Thank
showing
you.
your work, right? And thank you for being with
Well,
us.
thank you very much.
And thank you for watching the Joan Quinn Profiles. We'll see you next time. And please write, because we answer all our emails, to JAQUINN1@AOL.com. See you next time.